The sky above Sector 9 burned with the remnants of plasma fire, casting orange shadows across the battlefield. Commander Elsa stood at the edge of the observation deck, her scaled hands gripping the railing until the metal groaned under the pressure. Her crimson eyes, slit like a predator's, scanned the debris field where the final engagement had taken place 6 hours ago. Her daughter was gone. Elsa's chest tightened, a sensation foreign to her kind. The Draconis rarely felt such human emotions, but her daughter Arya had been different, half human, half Draconis, a bridge between two species that had only recently ceased their centuries-long war. The hybrid program had been controversial, but Elsa had volunteered, believing that unity could be forged through blood as much as through treaties. Now that blood had been spilled on some distant asteroid, and Arya's transponder had gone dark. "Commander," a voice crackled through her comm link. "There's someone requesting docking clearance, says he has something for you." Elsa's wings, folded against her back beneath her uniform, twitched with irritation. "I'm not receiving visitors." "He says it's about Lieutenant Arya." The world stopped. Elsa's breath caught in her throat, smoke curling from her nostrils, an involuntary reaction to the surge of emotion. "Grant clearance, immediately." She turned from the window and strode through the corridors of the orbital station, her boots echoing against the metal floors. Officers and crew members pressed themselves against the walls as she passed, recognizing the fury and desperation in her gait. The Draconis were formidable in peace, but in emotional turmoil, they were forces of nature. The docking bay doors hissed open as she arrived. A small, battered cargo vessel sat steaming on the landing pad, its hull scorched and pitted with weapons fire. The ramp lowered with a hydraulic wheeze, and a figure emerged. He was human, unmistakably so. Tall but hunched with exhaustion, wearing a tattered combat suit that had seen better decades. His face was weathered, scarred, with gray stubble covering his jaw, but it was his eyes that caught Elsa's attention, dark, haunted, yet somehow gentle. "Commander Elsa?" he asked, his voice rough. "Who are you?" Elsa demanded, smoke still trailing from her nostrils. "Where is my daughter?" The man, the veteran, didn't flinch at her tone. Instead, he turned back toward the ship and gestured. "My name is Elvish. I was part of the ground extraction team. I found her in Sector 9 in the ruins of the communications outpost." Elsa's heart hammered against her ribs. "Found her? She's alive," Elvish said quickly, and the world tilted back into focus. "Badly injured, but alive. I've had her in stasis for the journey here." The ramp extended further, revealing a medical pod mounted on a hover gurney. Through the transparent surface, Elsa could see her daughter's face, pale, peaceful, covered in regeneration gel. Her scales, the iridescent blue-green that marked her Draconis heritage, were visible along her temples and neck, some cracked and damaged but slowly healing. Elsa's legs moved before her mind caught up. She reached the pod and pressed her hand against the surface, feeling the faint hum of the stasis field. Tears. Actual tears. Something she hadn't experienced since Arya's birth, streamed down her scaled cheeks, evaporating in small wisps of steam. "How?" she whispered. "The report said there were no survivors. The entire outpost was destroyed." Elvish stepped beside her, his expression softening. "The reports were wrong. When the orbital strike hit, Arya managed to activate an emergency shield around the underground bunker. It saved her life, but she was trapped under 3 levels of collapsed structure. I was doing a final sweep before we abandoned the sector. I picked up a faint biosignature." "You came back for her," Elsa said, turning to look at him. "After the withdrawal order." "I did." Elvish's jaw tightened. "I've seen too many left behind in my career, Commander. Too many names on too many walls. I wasn't going to add hers to the list." Elsa studied him, this worn human veteran who had risked everything for a hybrid soldier he didn't know, in a war that was supposed to be over. She saw the scars on his neck, the prosthetic fingers on his left hand, the way he favored his right leg. He was a man who had given everything to service and still had more to give. "You saved her," Elsa said, her voice breaking. "You brought my daughter back to me." Elvish shook his head. "She saved herself, Commander. I just helped dig her out. Your daughter's a fighter. She held on for 3 days in that bunker, rationing her air, staying conscious long enough to guide me to her location once I got close. She's got your strength and her father's determination." "Her father died in the 3rd year of the war," Elsa said quietly. "He never got to see her grow up." "Then he'd be proud of who she became." Elvish gestured to the pod. "The med bay here can handle the rest of her treatment. She should be conscious within 48 hours. Elsa nodded, then did something that surprised even herself. She reached out and placed her hand on Elvish's shoulder, a gesture of respect among the Dracones, reserved for warriors of the highest honor. "You gave me back my reason for living," she said. "I am in your debt, Elvish. If you ever need anything at all, you need only ask." Elvish smiled, the expression transforming his weathered face into something almost youthful. "Just doing my job, Commander. We're all on the same side now. Maybe it's time we started acting like it." As the medical team arrived to transport Arya to the intensive care unit, Elsa watched Elvish limp back toward his battered ship. He moved like a man carrying the weight of 1,000 battles, but his shoulders were just a little straighter than when he'd arrived. "Elvish!" Elsa called out. He turned. "When Arya wakes up, will you visit? She should meet the man who saved her life." The veteran nodded. "I'd be honored, Commander." As his ship departed, leaving trails of vapor in the station's artificial atmosphere, Elsa returned to the medical bay where her daughter rested. She pressed her forehead against the pod, her breath fogging the surface, and whispered a prayer of gratitude to whatever forces had brought Elvish to that battlefield at exactly the right moment. Sometimes, she realized, salvation came not from the gods or from advanced technology, but from the simple, stubborn heroism of one person who refused to leave anyone behind. Her daughter was home, and somewhere in the vast darkness of space, a human veteran carried on, proving that the war between their species was truly over, one rescued soul at a time.